Hi, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. I have had a lot of requests to show my new sewing studio, and so we've got a rainy day today and I'm kind of in between some projects, or not really, I've come to a stopping point. So I thought I would show you around my new studio. This was original to the house. It was a 2-car garage. My house is probably about 20 years old right now, and the original owner converted it to a game room. And I will put a picture right here of what it used to look like when we moved in. We moved into this house in 2006, the season of our life where we hosted a lot of parties and really used the game room has since passed, and my YouTube channel kind of took on a life of its own, and so I convinced my husband that we needed to swap my old sewing area, which was a converted back patio, to allow me to use this room. And I wanted to completely remodel the room with new paint, new flooring, everything, and new lighting and whatnot. And so that's what I'm about to show you today. This is the front door to our home. This is the door we use most of the time. It goes out to the driveway. This is my old fabric stash. This is old cabinetry that I had. Got it from a friend from somewhere. That's where I keep tons of fabric. I don't have a stash comparable to some. I do reach in here all the time for all kinds of things. And down here I have, that's where I keep my mini irons. And under here I have long arm tools and bobbins and some things. This is the way it was in my old room. And these are parts for the long arm. Extra belts and whatnot, and there are some of the old ironing tools that I used to use. Can't bring myself to get rid of them. I've got kits and lots of stuff. In this cart, I kind of have anything extra that I'm working on. I'll pull this bin over right here to throw scraps in. And these are extra embroidery projects I have going on right now. This is Spanky, my 10 needle, the Brother PR 1055. And I'm in the middle of doing the Merry and Bright Sew Along from OESD. So that's the thread kit for it there. I have the threads on the machine, and I labeled the thread colors on top with some paper tape so I know what's where as I'm going through and doing all 32 of the tiles. It's a tiling scene. It's just gorgeous. I keep the hoops in the cabinet. This is an arrow cabinet, and I keep the hoops in there. And back in that white basket is the hat hoop that I use occasionally, and down here I have the fast frames and the extra hoops from Brother. And then of course all of the things I need for all of my embroidery stuff is in here. And then we've just got extra books and cords and KK2000 and that type of thing in here. I may have to refer back to this when I'm looking for stuff. In here, in this drawer, I have extra things I have made. And there is foam and tests and samples and blanks. Lots of stuff for the embroidery machine. And up here on the wall, I have 2 cross-stitch kits that I made after we had our Snowmageddon. This is an emergency kit, and it says in case of emergency, break glass. When we had our Snowmageddon in February of 2021 and ran out of power and I couldn't sew. So I ordered a couple of cross-stitch kits. On top, that flamingo was given to me by a coworker years ago, and well, when I retired, he gave that to me. And I've just got some kits up there, and this is where I keep my jelly roll tower and extra fabric and pre-cuts and whatnot. And then over here, oh, and I have some books here. There are some of my books right there. And then in this corner is a quilt rack my husband made for me. It's got projects on it that need binding or backing or to go on the long arm. And then here is another bookshelf that I have, and these were given to me. The Crown Royal Behr was given to me by a friend of mine who just passed away last year, 2 years ago. And there are all my Kimberbell CDs, and then more books and things that are important to me I've gathered from over the years. That's a good luck rooster from Portugal. And then I've got most of my camera stuff is here. Here's one of the lights that I use. And there's my little camera that goes on my table when I'm doing videos. And then down here are most of the software that I have, and books and binders and that kind of thing. There are all my paper patterns right there. And behind here I have more Kimberbell CDs, software, paper patterns, that kind of thing. So I have a little ironing pad right here if I need to iron at this place, at this embroidery machine. So that's that corner. I decoupaged all of my light switches with Mod Podge and some small scale beach fabric that I thought was just precious. I got that from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. And a Moda wall decoration. That is from Moda. You can get those from your quilt shop. My husband made this door for me. This is a barn door. That is actually the door that used to go, it was a storage area for the water heater, and then the original owner of this house was an air conditioning guy, so he installed an AC unit in there, fully ducted air conditioning unit. So behind the barn door here, this is where I keep all of my stabilizers. This is a mesh shoe rack from Walmart. And I use the little chalkboards with the clips to identify all of my stabilizers. So that's how I store my stabilizers. I love it because it rolls. This is also where I keep all of my big tubs for my large spools of embroidery threads. There and there. I got those boxes at the Container Store. And there's my beautiful water heater and an ice machine. I mean, who doesn't need an ice machine, right? And then in here I have, that's where I keep batting scraps and packaged batting and the security system. I have bins of fabric and more bins of fabric, and then all of my scraps by color are right here in this area in these bins. And then these bins right here have all of my fat quarters by color and my air conditioner, yay. You need it here in South Texas. And then that is my weightless quilter right there. There's a roll of batting. And then here is a rack that contains all of my threads, my smaller spools of threads. Right, all of that. So that is what is in this room right now. We'll come back out here. Let me close this up so I don't have that noise. Okay, and we'll continue around the room. This is my desk. This is where I spend the majority of my day editing videos, answering email, answering comments to my videos, and TV. I watch a lot of quilting videos on there from YouTube, and sew at the same time. So, and there's my Moda clock, and these are collectible plates that my quilty buddy Lisa gave me before she moved. She gave them all to me. Okay, and that door goes into the rest of the house. And that doggy door is too small for my dogs, but it's still there. I need to hang something over it and make it cute. Maybe a dog. I think Lisa said to put a little quilt with a dog on it over that. That would be ideal. And then this is an old cabinet. It doesn't really have anything in it right now, but on top of it is an old drawer. And this is where I keep all of my Sharpies, markers, all my marking stuff. This is where I keep my ROSA Designs patterns. And I've got 3 books of them, and I have them marked by yardage, fat 6, fat 8ths, 10-inch squares, 2.5-inch strips, 5-inch squares, table runners, holidays, and fat quarters, panels, and projects. So how I store these, let me pull this out and show you, because I've had people ask me how to store these ROSA Designs patterns. These are 4x6 photo packages, and I like to do them like this so that I can see the picture on the front and then flip them over, and there is the pattern on the back. I don't really have them like in alphabetical order or anything, just by the fabric that is in them. And then I have these cardboard inserts that came with these sleeves, these 4x6 sleeves, and they're a little bit taller than the sleeve, and I mark like 10-inch squares. Okay, so that's how I store all of my ROSA Designs patterns. In here I have a couple of fabric kits, including Love Notes from Kimberbell. I can't wait to get to that. And then I have some large fabric pieces right here. And then I have the red snappers that I use on my long arm. And there's my robot vacuum and my fan. This is a year calendar where I schedule all of my projects I'm going to do with my viewers, or when we're going to be on vacation or anything like that. And then I have some cards from my grandkids, magnets up there. And then my husband made this design wall for me. And this is 4x12. And it is backed with Hobbs 80/20 white batting. And then the Spaceman quilt is on a Fons and Porter design wall that I just have pinned up there. When I take Spaceman down, I will probably put that away. But Spaceman needs to go on the long arm now. And I've just got these up here just right now to kind of provide some ambience in the room. There is another light that I use to show when I'm sitting at the table and working. And this is my long arm. It's a King Quilter special edition. And I got it from Sewing Machines Plus several years ago. And it has the Android tablet, the Quilt Butler on it. I've finally gotten pretty proficient at it. It's taken me a while, but I do enjoy using it. And I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I've got some threads I got to put away there. That's not a surprise. My husband made these ruler racks for me. They have enough slots for regular cutting rulers right here. And then this one has slots that are large enough for quilting rulers right there in that one. And there are some rulers from Creative Notions Quilt Shop. Then this is my Baby Lock Elegante 2. This was a Craigslist find. I use this one for sewing. Pretty much. If I'm going to be doing garment sewing, or if I'm going to be piecing batting, I use this machine right here. And then this is where I keep I charge this camera right here. So that's why my cords are all over in this area. More threads I need to put away. And I have a cordless iron that I use to steam out quilts on the long arm. And that is a panel that I got from a quilt shop in Bandera, Texas. This is my ironing station, and this is a hemness dresser from IKEA, and I had my husband make a larger top for this dresser. So this is actually can just be lifted off. I can lift it up like this. There's the original ironing cover that's under there, and he just made a larger top. I wanted a top that was large enough to fold out a 42 or 43 inch piece of fabric and be able to iron it all in one time. and I needed something that was wide enough to be able to iron fat quarters. And this is my Sapporo gravity fed 527. This is really for industrial type garment sewing, and I love it so much because this iron, for when it gets really hot and it never turns off, which is ideal. It has a solenoid on the other side. I get asked about my iron all the time. It has a solenoid on the other side that brings in water, which I have hidden here under my flamingo cover that I made. This is an IV pole. Under here is the water bottle that is hidden by the flamingo that puts the water to the solenoid. So there is never water in the iron at all. So you never get anything spitting on your fabric. I've had that iron for 5 years and it has never failed me one time. It does not turn off, which I like. And I have it connected back here to a power strip down here, and I only use the power strip to turn the iron on and off. Also hooked into that power strip is that light right there, so if the light is on, then the iron is on. In my ironing station, my top drawer, I have clappers. I have a dime hooping station, very handy for bags. And I have hams. This is a sleeve roll, and there's another ham in there. My steam-a-seam, my starch, stitch witchery, steam-a-seam, all things I would need at, and Mary Ellen's Best Press in here. And then down here is more Mary Ellen's Best Press and distilled water. And then on this side of it is a set of pegs my husband put on there for my larger hoops. And it also has, he made a little groove right there, and that is mounted on the side of the dresser, and that's for the magnetic scanning mat for the luminaire. And in the second drawer is where I have all of my heat and bond, any fusibles I might need, Bosal, foam, and I've got a spool of elastic in there. So that's where I keep all of that stuff. And down here in the bottom drawer is where I have like Insel Bright and a thing of Mylar and the craft holders to hang things. I've got some silicone in here to be used for pressing, all kinds of stuff like that. Just oddball things. And up here I have my subscribe banner that I made, and I did that myself on the long arm. I used Simply Applique to cut out the letters and embroider them down. I used my ruler table on my long arm and did all that straight line quilting myself and put grommets in it to hang it. And then this is a quilt along that I just finished. I need to put another blocks up there or something on that end. That's one of those magnetic quilt holders that's pretty awesome. And here's my Brother Luminaire. Each machine you'll see has its own chair. I got these at Office Depot and did a video on that trip. So there's a chair for that machine. There's another set of pegs right here on this side of the ironing station for embroidery hoops that I reach for all the time. From the big ones all the way down to the little ones. And each machine has a trash can. There's my quilter's cut and press. And then in between these two machines, I call this sewing machine row for an obvious reason. This machine is Darla. This is my primary single needle embroidery machine. I usually keep the embroidery foot on this one, and I use the baby lock for sewing. So here is a thread chest of Madeira poly that I keep handy, and then I've got little bamboo boxes where I keep all the little gizmos I reach for frequently. And then there is the Luminaire accessory kit, and here is an ironing pad that I got from Embroidery Garden. That's an in the hoop project from Embroidery Garden. And then here, this is an Alex drawer set from IKEA, and this is where I keep all the machine accessories, the feet, pre-wound bobbins, and tape, and all things embroidery. I would need, here's my buttons that I have in here, and my mouse. And then down here's where I keep all my manuals and bobbin winder and that kind of thing in there. And then I have a machine foot and some Velcro and some other machine accessories in this bottom drawer. This table has my Brother PQ1500 and my Steady Betty down there. I use that quite a bit when I am piecing. And I've got cups back here that have all of my stuff on it that I reach for frequently. The binoculars are so I can tell if the flag is down for the mailbox, which is right out this window. And I have a little pad there for the seam ripper my husband made me. We sell those on our shop. They're very nice. They're made out of acrylic and they feel very, isn't that beautiful? Look at that shine. They feel so good in your hand. This end is a seam ripper and the other end is a stiletto. That's pretty cool. Get back to this. So here is my Brother PQ1500, the piecing machine. I love it. I get lots of bright light. Normally, right now, like I said, it's raining outside, so it is pretty kind of dark. And again, it has its own chair and trash can, and there's Mount Scrapmore under there. I need to go through that, definitely. Up here is where, in this corner of the room, we're almost back to the door, there is my shadow box from when I retired from the military. My husband made that for me. And the flag was flown over the US Capitol and the Texas flag was flown over the Texas Capitol up in Austin. So that's cool. That was very neat. 20 years in the Air Force. This is Miss Texas. She was gifted to me by a sweet lady named Marcia. This is my one of two Brother sergers, the 1034D lock. I have one here, I have one at our house at the coast, and then over here I have a Janome. This is a 900. It is a cover stitch, and I use this mostly when I alter t-shirts. I usually will buy them too big and then alter them down to size. But this is a very busy working corner of my room. Here is the June bugs that I am working on from ROSA Designs. This is the Animals on Parade quilt that I just made, all that fabric from Behr. And I've got to finish the binding and get that bound. The binding is on it. I just need to close it up and then fold it over, machine stitch it on. And there is Wellington. This project right here will become a quilt for the motorhome. And here is all of my fabrics from Urban Elements. I bought a whole bunch of fat quarters from them. They got some cute whimsical stuff. And that's a super secret project I'm working on for Designs by Juju right there. And under here are my Yazzie bags. Both of them are packed or need unpacked and repacked for future trips. And that is a stack of fabric that I'm gonna pack into them to take with us in the motorhome. And then under here, I've got embroidery blanks. I have lots of embroidery stuff in here. I've got hoops and all things, mostly dime designs and machine embroidery stuff is in here. They sell a ton of cool little gadgets and I use them all the time. Here is extra embroidery tape and notebooks if I want to make one for somebody. And then under here I have serger threads. And then in here I keep steam-a-seam, bodkins, all kinds of sewing accessories in here, patches, that kind of thing, stay tape, needles, bobbins, screwdrivers. So I try to keep everything pretty organized. That dip can, I stole it from my husband's former bad habit, and it holds used rotary blades. Here's clips, rotary blades, safety pins, and specialty scissors back up in there. The ones I reach for the most are probably my Teflon scissors. I'm forever cutting something sticky. There are pinking shears back in there and all that. Here's where all the rotary blades are, spares that I have, and my Alpha Bitties I use all the time, and my clips. And these are all weights for patterns. And then fabric glue, hardware, my washi tape, all, you know, sticky adhesive things, beads, if I need them. These are like hooks and snaps. There's a grommet thing. Now, these are a ton of snaps in here for a huge cam snap thing I have, and that's hidden behind the Yazzie bags. And then sanding blocks, grommets, things I don't reach for too often, but I might need. Okay. This button rug, I was inspired to get it from Lori Holt. She had shown one in her sewing room. It's actually from IKEA in the children's section, and I bought it years ago, and I was looking for another one, and I haven't seen it on their website. You might be able to find them in the store somewhere. Let's talk about my cutting table. The top is 75 by 36, and there is a 3.5-inch space right in here. This table is actually 2 separate pieces. So the top of the table is not permanently attached to the base. Let me lift it. You can see. See that? Okay. And it was designed like this so that if it needs to move, and it is on wheels, but if it needs to be moved to another room or whatever, you can actually take the top off and then take it out of a door. And then the bottom half will also fit through a door. You can roll it right out. The height of the table is custom to me because I'm 5'9", and so I needed something a little bit taller so that when I was cutting at the table, my elbow was perpendicular like this to the cutting surface. And I have 6 cubbies total, and the way they're put together is actually what's called a finger join. So they go like this, is how the wood is put together. I've had people ask me for plans. We are not going to create plans for this, but if you are interested in making one, I can probably put the dimensions on my blog, powertoolswiththread.com, and you can search for it. And then that way, if you want to make one yourself, you can. I had him put a hole in it right here, and I got that idea from a crawfish boil. Under here is my large trash can. It is very handy to just be cutting away and take trash and little tiny scraps or whatever and just push them into the hole. I really, really like this feature. It's so far down here on the end of the table that it doesn't impede, you can tell, even a giant mat. The mat I got at the Houston Quilt Festival back in 2019, and you can just go to, you'd have to Google large cutting mats, get them from there. I have not found, it has an 800 number, nobody answers the phone, and I have not had any luck finding this particular mat online at all, so I'm sorry about that. In the cubbies, I mostly keep projects that I want to do and work on this side, display some things, my favorite fabrics and whatnot, I just put right there. Under here is where I keep my Cricut mini presses. I've got the medium one right here and the large one right there. I use those when I need to iron a lot of fabric at one time over on my big ironing station, and then down under there I just have some more fabric for display that I really like. So you'll notice that the table has a split level top, and the reason for that is so that I can store my rulers flat in here. Inside of between the 2 layers there are 1-inch dowels that were painted white. And this is oak plywood, and it killed my husband to paint it, but it's my table, so my rules. And then these are projects that I'm working on right now. Got a Yazzie bag right there full of quilt blocks. If I am doing an embroidery project like I am right now with Merry & Bright, this is where I keep my stabilizers handy to just grab so I can hoop my things on my cutting table. Right here, these are things that I need to show you guys. I reserve this cubby right here for things that I want to show on my channel. And then I have some Martelli rings down here and another mat and whatnot, and I have an Olfa rotating cutting mat that fits right in here as well. I love it. And then of course, again, a big trash can right underneath that hole. But that is how it looks all the time when I'm going to be working at it. And I normally stand on this side, and I keep this little bamboo box full of all my rotary cutters and seam ripper and clips and pins and all that kind of stuff. This is a cabinet my husband made for me for the ScanNCut. It fits it perfectly. It's on wheels and rolls, and underneath I have got a long flat shelf that will hold up to my 24-inch mat, which I really enjoy. And then down below I have cubbies with baskets that hold, these are different vinyls that I have. This is matte vinyl iron-ons. There are my glitter vinyls and my rag, my microfiber rag I use to clean my mats with. And then I have the glitter vinyls down here, and then I have other gizmos that I would use in here that are accessories to the ScanNCut. A lot of people ask me about my little accessory cup right here. That is a command cup that is used in the bathroom, I think, as a shaving cup. And I love it. I have one on this ScanNCut, and I have one on the ScanNCut that I have at the coast. This cabinet is amazing. I absolutely love it. And my husband made all of this furniture, the table and this cabinet, out of, I think it was 5 sheets of plywood. So the beauty about this cabinet is, see this beautiful little leaf piece right here? This comes out and opens up. So you will lift this up right here, and then this folds this way to hold it. And there's one on the other side. And that way, as my mat goes through the machine, it doesn't fall off the back of the table. And there's no power right here. I just roll it right over here. That's where I put it if I'm going to be working on my ScanNCut. And I keep the plug right back here and just plug in my machine, and then I'm all ready to go. So I don't mind this a bit. It's a really good setup for me to be able to use my ScanNCut this way. I don't use it a ton, but when I do, it's easy to get to, and the cabinet is absolutely perfect for it. And it provides a nice backing for the trash can, so I can 3-point into my hole in there. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the tour. I thank you for coming along with me, and I hope you found a little inspiration. This has been just one heck of a ride to make this room, and I just love that my husband supports me in everything that I do. I thank you very much for being a part of the Power Tools with Thread family. I'd appreciate a thumbs up, and please subscribe so we can visit more often and you can see what all goes on in here. We'll talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.